History is full of kings who conquered, generals who marched, and emperors who claimed the world. But every now and then, a woman took the crown and changed everything. These weren't symbolic rulers or background figures. They led armies, crushed rebellions, outsmarted empires, unified kingdoms, and refused to bow in worlds designed to exclude them. Some ruled with diplomacy. Others ruled with fire. All of them left marks too big to erase. These are the 25 most badass queens and empresses in history. Number 1. Catherine the Great, the ruthless Russian Tsarina. Catherine the Great came to power and basically upgraded Russia like it was software. She expanded the empire, modernized the administration, reformed education, and strengthened the military, all while navigating deadly court intrigue. Ambition? Off the charts. Strategy? Impeccable. She turned Russia into a European superpower and made sure everyone knew she wasn't here to play nice. Catherine's life proves that a ruler can run an empire, charm philosophers, and still throw shade at anyone dumb enough to underestimate her. Number 2. Elizabeth I, the warrior queen who defended England. Elizabeth I inherited a kingdom in chaos and turned it into a global powerhouse. Religious wars? Check. Plots everywhere? Check. Spanish Armada? Obliterated. She supported privateers like Sir Francis Drake, outsmarted diplomats, and ruled with razor-sharp intelligence. Elizabeth didn't just wear fancy dresses. She wielded power like a sword. Loyal subjects feared her judgment, enemies feared her strategy, and she never married anyone because, frankly, who has time for that when you're too busy saving England? Number 3. Cleopatra VII, the pharaoh who built an empire. Cleopatra didn't just sit pretty on the Nile. She ran Egypt like a pro. Fluent in multiple languages, commanding armies, and negotiating with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, she kept Rome at bay and Egypt independent. She managed trade, culture, and politics like a boss, while everyone else was trying to figure out which side to pick. Cleopatra proved that a queen could be brilliant, fearless, and charming all at once. Basically, she ran the Mediterranean before brunch was even a thing. Number 4. Hatshepsut, the pharaoh who rewrote the rules. Hatshepsut wasn't just Egypt's rare female pharaoh. She was the original get-stuff-done queen. She launched massive trade expeditions, built monumental temples, and stabilized the economy while wearing the traditional beard because rules. Her reign lasted decades, proving that leadership isn't about appearances. It's about vision and execution. While others worried about wars and gossip, Hatshepsut was busy making history and money. Basically, she ran Egypt like a CEO before CEOs were even a thing. Number 5. Torajin Khatun, the Mongol empress who controlled an empire. Torajin Khatun wasn't content to just sip tea while her husband conquered the world. When Ogidi Khan died, she took over as regent, commanding armies, managing succession, and expanding the Mongol Empire. Male generals grumbled, rivals plotted. But Torajin calmly ran the largest empire on earth while looking like she had it all under control. Leadership? Check. Strategy? Check. Empire? Also check. She proved that sometimes the most powerful person in the room isn't a warrior. She just makes the warriors do the heavy lifting. Number 6. Wu Zetian, the only woman to rule China as emperor. Wu Zetian didn't just rule behind the scenes. She took the throne outright and declared herself emperor of China. Not empress. Emperor. She rose from concubine to the most powerful person in the Tang dynasty through ruthless intelligence, political alliances, and zero tolerance for opposition. She reformed the civil service, promoted talented officials over aristocrats, and expanded China's influence. Critics called her ruthless. History calls her effective. Wu didn't break the glass ceiling. She replaced it with a dragon throne. Number 7. Boudica, the queen who burned Roman Britain. When the Romans flogged her and abused her daughters, Boudica responded the only way a warrior queen should. She raised an army and burned Roman cities to the ground. Leading tens of thousands of Iceni warriors, she destroyed Camulodunum, London, and Verulamium. For a moment, Rome, the superpower of the ancient world, panicked. Though ultimately defeated, Boudica became a symbol of resistance and raw fury. She didn't negotiate. She didn't apologize. She showed Rome that conquering Britain came with consequences. Number 8. Rani Lakshmibai, the queen who rode into battle. When the British tried to annex her kingdom in 1857, Rani Lakshmibai didn't write a complaint letter. She put on armor, strapped her adopted son to her back, and rode into battle. Leading troops during the Indian Rebellion, she fought with tactical skill and fearless determination. Even British generals reportedly admired her courage. She died on the battlefield, sword in hand, becoming a legend across India. Lakshmibai proved that royalty isn't about jewels. Sometimes it's about charging at an empire on horseback. Number 9. Theodora, the empress who saved the Byzantine Empire. Theodora rose from actress to empress of Byzantium, and when riots nearly toppled the empire, she refused to run. During the Nika riots in 532 AD, Emperor Justinian considered fleeing Constantinople. Theodora famously told him that royal purple makes a fine burial shroud. Translation, we stay and fight. Her resolve pushed Justinian to crush the rebellion and keep the throne. She also championed laws protecting women's rights and strengthened imperial authority. Theodora didn't just share power. She stabilized an empire with pure nerve. Number 10. Isabella I of Castile, the queen who changed the world map. Isabella I didn't just unify Spain. She financed a little voyage that accidentally discovered the Americas. Alongside Ferdinand, she completed the Reconquista in 1492, consolidating Spanish power and launching Spain into global dominance. She reformed government, strengthened the crown, and made Spain a serious European force. Yes, her reign had dark consequences, but in terms of political power and global impact, Isabella reshaped history. She bet on a risky expedition across the Atlantic, and the world was never the same again. Number 11. Queen Zinga, the diplomat who outsmarted an empire. When Portuguese officials tried to intimidate her during negotiations, Queen Zinga of Ndongo and Matamba calmly had a servant kneel so she could sit at equal height with the governor. Message received. She mastered diplomacy and warfare, forming alliances, leading troops, and resisting Portuguese expansion in 17th century Angola for decades. She converted to Christianity when politically useful, then shifted strategies when needed. Zinga wasn't just fighting battles. She was playing chess with colonizers. And she refused to be treated like a footnote. Number 12. Maria Theresa, the mother who fought for her throne. At 23, Maria Theresa inherited the Habsburg Empire, and half of Europe immediately tried to steal it. Prussia invaded. France circled. Bavaria had ideas. Instead of collapsing, she reorganized her army, modernized administration, and fought through the War of Austrian Succession. She lost territory, but kept her crown and strengthened her state. Also, she had 16 children, including Marie Antoinette, while running an empire. Maria Theresa didn't just defend her throne. She turned crisis into consolidation, multitasking on a continental scale. Number 13. Artemisia I of Caria, the admiral who impressed Xerxes. Artemisia I didn't just rule Caria. She commanded ships in one of the biggest naval battles of the ancient world. Fighting alongside Xerxes during the Persian invasion of Greece, she led her own fleet at the Battle of Salamis. When things went badly, she pulled off a tactical maneuver so clever it fooled the enemy and impressed Xerxes himself. He reportedly said his men had become women, and his women, men. Artemisia proved you don't need brute force to dominate a battlefield, just nerve and brains. Number 14. Queen Sihanouk, the scholar on the throne. In 7th century Korea, Queen Sihanouk ruled the kingdom of Silla at a time when female rulers were rare. She strengthened alliances with Tang China, promoted Buddhism, and invested heavily in science and astronomy. Under her reign, the Kiamseongdi Observatory, one of the oldest surviving astronomical observatories in East Asia, was built. She governed with intellect and strategy rather than brute force. Sihanouk proved that sometimes the most powerful weapon a monarch can wield isn't a sword, it's foresight. Number 15. Tamar the Great, the King of Georgia. Tamar of Georgia didn't take the title queen. She was crowned king. During her reign in the late 12th and early 13th centuries, Georgia experienced its golden age. She expanded territory, strengthened military power, and turned her kingdom into a dominant force in the Caucasus. Under Tamar, culture flourished, trade grew, and Georgia reached its peak influence. Enemies underestimated her at their own risk. Tamar wasn't ruling during a golden age. She was the reason it happened. Number 16. Empress Dowager Cixi, the woman who ruled from behind the curtain. Cixi entered China's Forbidden City as a low-ranking concubine and ended up ruling the Qing dynasty for nearly half a century. Officially, she governed as regent for young emperors. Unofficially, she ran the empire. She survived coups, rebellions, foreign invasions, and palace conspiracies with political precision. Critics blame her for resisting reforms. Supporters argue she held a collapsing empire together longer than anyone else could have. Either way, you don't dominate imperial politics for decades without extraordinary skill. Cixi didn't inherit power. She maneuvered into it. Number 17. Catherine de' Medici, the queen who mastered court politics. Catherine de' Medici arrived in France as a teenage bride with little influence. She later became queen, then regent, and effectively controlled French politics during one of its bloodiest eras, the Wars of Religion. Navigating Catholic, Protestant conflict, unstable kings, and ambitious nobles, she relied on strategy, intelligence networks, and ruthless pragmatism. Accused of everything from poison plots to orchestrating massacres, she became history's favorite villainess. But in a kingdom tearing itself apart, Catherine survived and kept the monarchy intact. In 16th century France, survival was victory. Number 18. Tamaris, the queen who defeated Cyrus the Great. Cyrus the Great built the Persian Empire into a superpower. Tamaris ended him. As queen of the Massagetei in the 6th century BCE, she faced Persian expansion head-on. When Cyrus tried trickery and invasion, Tamaris responded with open war. According to ancient sources, her forces defeated the Persians and killed Cyrus in battle. Legend says she placed his severed head in a skin of blood, telling him to drink your fill. Dramatic? Absolutely. But she proved even empires bleed. Number 19. Queen Jadwiga, the child who became king. Crowned king of Poland at just 10 years old, Jadwiga wasn't treated as symbolic royalty. She governed. Her marriage to Jogaila united Poland and Lithuania, forming one of Europe's most powerful states. She promoted education, supported the restoration of Krakow University, and worked to strengthen diplomacy across Central Europe. Despite her youth, she demonstrated political maturity and moral authority that won respect across the continent. Jadwiga didn't rule long, but she reshaped the balance of power in Eastern Europe before turning 26. Number 20. Zenobia, the queen who challenged Rome. Zenobia of Palmyra looked at the Roman Empire and thought, "We can do better." In the 3rd century CE, while Rome struggled with internal crises, she expanded her rule across Egypt and parts of Asia Minor. For a brief moment, her Palmyrene empire rivaled Rome itself. She styled herself as a legitimate ruler, not a rebel, and governed efficiently while leading military campaigns. Rome eventually struck back and defeated her, but challenging the ancient world superpower, and nearly winning, earns permanent respect. Number 21. Judith, the queen who brought down a dynasty. In 10th century Ethiopia, Queen Judith became a storm. According to tradition, she led a rebellion that overthrew the Aksumite kingdom, ending a dynasty that had ruled for centuries. Churches were burned, royal lines were shattered, and the political map of the region shifted permanently. Details are debated by historians, but one thing is clear. Judith wasn't a background character. She altered the balance of power in the Horn of Africa. Entire royal bloodlines collapsed because she decided the throne needed new management. Number 22. Margaret I, the architect of Scandinavia. Margaret I didn't just rule Denmark. She engineered the Kalmar Union, uniting Denmark, Norway, and Sweden under one crown in 1397. Through diplomacy, strategy, and political patience, she consolidated Scandinavian power without endless battlefield theatrics. She ruled in all but name, carefully positioning herself as guardian, while holding absolute authority. Under her leadership, the Union became a serious Northern European force. Margaret didn't conquer with chaos. She unified kingdoms like a master negotiator assembling a geopolitical puzzle. Number 23. Ranavalona I, the queen who defied empire. Ranavalona I ruled Madagascar in the 19th century and made one thing clear. European colonization would not be easy. She rejected foreign control, expelled missionaries, and enforced policies meant to preserve Malagasy sovereignty and traditions. Her reign was harsh and controversial, but it successfully kept Madagascar independent during a period when European powers were aggressively expanding across Africa. While others fell quickly to imperial pressure, Ranavalona resisted for over 3 decades. Love her or criticize her, she did not bow. Number 24. Queen Amina, the warrior of Zaza. In the 16th century, Queen Amina of Zaza, modern-day Nigeria, led military campaigns that expanded her kingdom's territory and influence across West Africa. She fortified cities with massive walls, strengthened trade routes, and commanded armies directly in the field. Oral histories describe her as fearless, strategic, and relentless in battle. Under her leadership, Zaza became a dominant regional power. Amina didn't inherit peace. She carved security out of conquest and left behind defenses that lasted generations. Number 25. Liliuokalani, the queen who refused to disappear. Liliuokalani was the last sovereign monarch of Hawaii, and when American business interests overthrew her in 1893, she refused to legitimize the coup. Instead of plunging her people into bloodshed, she yielded temporarily under protest, trusting that justice would prevail. She later petitioned Washington, wrote her own memoir, and fought diplomatically for Hawaiian sovereignty. Though annexation followed, she became a lasting symbol of resistance and national identity. Even in defeat, she stood with dignity. Sometimes strength is refusing to surrender your story.